This is my second time recording this, and I'm a little bit frustrated. Bear with me. After watching the first Jurassic Park, I was looking forward to what else the series had in store. The way the first movie ended felt like it could be a one-off, but there were elements that I think were sprinkled throughout that could allow for a sequel to be made without the sequel feeling completely unnecessary. And then we got Jurassic Park 2. That's not what it's called, but it should be called Jurassic Park 2 because the other name, Lost World Jurassic Park, just feels weird. So, whatever. Now, one of the first things I noticed when watching this movie was how quickly it got to the main plot. Now, I mentioned in my previous video that I wish the first film had been able to get to the main plot faster, so I was happy to see that this film did that. And it did so in a way that checked off all the necessary boxes without doing anything extra. We got the necessary exposition about what has happened since the first movie. We know why Ian and co are going to the island, and we know why this island exists in the first place. This movie did a great job of getting to the stuff that I actually wanted to see while providing the necessary context and information in a concise way that allowed for just me to get to where I wanted to. That's what I cared about. Now, this is probably due to the fact that there was comparatively a lot less to set up in this movie than the first one, but I mean, I digress. I will note that the existence of the second island and the purpose it served felt like an afterthought. Like this island only exists for the sake of having a sequel. Did this bother me? Yeah, it did. But it didn't bother me enough for me to, for like the movie to be ruined for me. Yeah. I think the opening scene in the first movie could be seen as them transporting the Velociraptor back to the first island from this second island. So maybe there's continuity there, but I honestly think that the reality of the second island existing is just the fact that they wanted to make more money off of the Jurassic Park franchise, so yeah. This film felt noticeably different than the first, for better, but more so for worse. The tone of this movie felt a bit darker and more dramatic, which I enjoyed and was initially surprised just to see. Now, this should allow for the situations to feel scarier with more at stake, but I don't think it really accomplished that. I feel like there were more moments in the previous entry that felt more tense and scary than this one, which is disappointing given this movie foregoes the wonder and awe that I felt in the first movie. The potential was there, and at times it executed well, but overall, I think more often than not, it just missed the mark for me. Now, one specific example that I really enjoyed was the scene where the T-Rex parents flipped the trailer over the cliffside. Now, this scene both captured and maintained my attention the entire time. The shots of the cast hanging over the side of the cliff while still inside the trailer were great. And the way that Eddie Carr was working and scrambling and whatnot to save them added to the desperation that the scene just exuded. Now, I need to mention that I was pissed when Eddie died. Not because it didn't make sense, but because he was growing on me, and I wanted him to succeed, which he did, but at a dire cost. But he only died because of two idiots. Ooh, I'm so upset. Because this whole situation was due to the idiocy of two other characters, and they survived to the end of the film, which actively made me dislike these characters. Dr. Sarah Harding and Nick Van Owen actively frustrated me throughout this movie. They present themselves as noble and morally correct, yet they consistently put other people in danger. I'm a reasonable person. I have no problem with someone putting their life on the line. It's their life, it's their choice. But when Owen decided to bring the baby T-Rex back to the trailer and Dr. Harding begrudgingly signed on, I was in disbelief. They're both fully aware that a kid, is back at their campsite and that the T-Rex parents are more than likely going to become looking for their offspring. The unnecessary choice to endanger those around them, who didn't consent to this, by the way, directly led to the death of Eddie, who had to risk his life in the first place because of their selfishness. This single action made me dislike both of their characters. Now, while I can understand why they want to make this decision, their narrow-mindedness, their short-sightedness, their self-centeredness almost cost them their lives, which is fine, do you, but it also cost someone else their life and also almost cost the lives of other people. Completely frustrating and unnecessary. With all that being said, there were some characters that didn't piss me off. I liked Eddie before he died. Kelly was enjoyable, though her gymnastics sequence was I didn't like the gymnastics sequence. We could have done without that. Ian Malcolm was alright, for the most part, I guess. Better, I think I liked him in this movie more than the first movie, but whatever. But if I had to pick a favorite, it would surprisingly be Roland Tempo. Now, this character felt fully understood, and the way his character reacted to the events of the story always felt appropriate and understandable given his goals. But with that being said, I didn't really connect with him as a character. But I don't think the point of his character was for me to connect with him. But given that, that means there was no one in the cast that I really connected with. Now, don't get me wrong, there were moments that carried more weight with them than others, but overall, there wasn't a single character, a character's journey, or a character's relationship that I was deeply invested in. Now, the closest thing that I had to that would probably be the relationship between Ian and Kelly, but that relationship didn't really land for me. It didn't. That's the closest thing we got, but it didn't do it for me. This reality made this feel like I was watching people on screen instead of injecting myself into the situation or being attached to what was happening to the characters like I was in the first film. The immersion just wasn't there. And I think that the lack of a character or relationship that I could resonate and care about was a major reason for that, among other things. I think a big reason why I felt a lack of immersion is because the plot had so many moving parts. The story being told felt a lot more complicated and complex and bloated than it needed to be. I truly think that there was less notable characters, and there was a more simplified, streamlined approach to the plot that would have allowed for more character growth and exploration. And given how already established the characters' relationships were in this movie compared to the previous one, I think that was a missed opportunity. So far, I've gone this whole video without mentioning the main draw of this franchise, the dinosaurs. They were fine, I guess. I like the introduction of the baby dinos. That allowed for a different look of the dinosaurs, and I like that. The way the through line of life finding a way was illustrated with this new generation of dinos was also a really good, it was good. It was a good choice. I like that. That being said, I wish that other babies were used alongside the baby T-Rex. Now, I completely understand that a baby T-Rex would be the main draw for any dinosaur zoo, but it would also have been nice to see just more focus on other types of baby dinos. We got a little bit here and there, but just like having a bit more than we got would have just done wonders in my opinion, because after a while, I just felt like the baby T-Rex was just became a plot driver, and that's a shame. Also, speaking of dinosaurs, the raptors sucked. The way they were used was frustrating and was a severe downgrade from the first movie. Initially, the way they picked off the expedition team in the high grass was great. It was calculated, precise, and coordinated. All adjectives that I would associate with these creatures based on what I've seen and heard about them in this movie and the previous one. So then what's the problem, you may be asking? Well, the problem is how they were handled when they encountered Ian, Sarah, and Kelly. To put it simply, they felt like bumbling idiots. They lacked all the things I mentioned, and it made the whole sequence lack the tension that I think they were going for. Besides that one scene, that one scene where Kelly was trying to go under the shed door to escape from the raptors, and then a raptor snout appeared under there and almost bit her. That was a good scene. That was good. Besides that, everything else was just blah. It felt like the raptors were dumbed down in order for the main cast to survive, which sucked especially because they were already used sparingly to begin with. I just wish they felt more like intelligent and capable pack hunters and not like the robbers from Home Alone. Also, I didn't like the ending. No, more specifically, the T-Rex in San Diego. Now, this is more of a personal nitpick though, so bear with me. I personally like Jurassic Park type movies where the main cast is entering the environment of the dinosaurs and not necessarily the other way around. The T-Rex felt awkward, and besides that one scene where the dinosaur went to the boy's house and drank from his pool and ate his dog, I didn't really enjoy anything else. Again, personal qualm, and not necessarily something that needs to be changed, but to me it just felt awkward, and I wanted to mention that because it definitely dampened my enjoyment for the movie. Even though I've discussed many of the things that I didn't like about this movie, I didn't hate it. In fact, I thought it was solid. I think that the reason I have so many qualms with this movie is because I saw it within a few days of seeing the first one, so I ended up comparing the two a lot. And when you do that, it's really clear which one is superior. Also, I think given how successful the first movie was, this movie was expected to deliver just as much, if not more. And expectation can truly ruin a project before it even begins, and I think that I expected more from this movie than I did the first one. Now, this expectation combined with all this expectation combined with all that the movie tried to accomplish left it feeling like it was lacking, in my opinion. Now, with that being said, I'm pretty sure if I let more time pass between watching the first and second movie, I might have enjoyed this more than I did, which is unfortunate because I don't want to have to do that if I'm watching a trilogy, but I mean, it is what it is. But again, this movie isn't bad. I can see the DNA of a good sequel film here. It just wasn't fully realized in this iteration of the movie. And it's because I recognize the movie isn't bad that I wish it was more successful at doing what it tried to do. Because in highlighting its differences from the first movie, I think I can start to see the intrigue of this one, if that makes sense. But those are just my thoughts. Now I'd like to hear yours. Let me know down in the comment section what you think of this second entry into the Jurassic Park franchise. Also, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel so you'll know when the third installment of this series talking about the Jurassic Park franchise will be up. I don't know why I'm holding the mic like this, but it is what it is. Thank you so much for watching this video. And because you subscribed, because you're subbed, because you're here, right? Thanks for being here. Because you're here, I will catch you in the next one. Now, similar to this video, the third one should be out tomorrow. It should be on the lookout. It should be out tomorrow. If it's not, you can call me a liar. But it should be out tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Also, this movie felt like a bridge. Now, I don't know if they had the third movie in mind when they made this, but I feel this is like a transitionary movie, moving away from the wonder and awe of the first one, but trying to do something different while still retaining the identity, if that makes sense. It felt like in Pokemon, like when there's this 3-stage evolutionary line, it felt like the middle evolution. That can sometimes feel awkward and like weird, but you see it change from what it was before, and it's becoming something different while retaining certain qualities. It feels like that. But to me, it feels like it was like awkwardly done. Like it wasn't done the best way, basically. So that's disappointing. Hopefully the third one was better. We will see. But yeah, just unfortunate.